Welcome back to What the Verdict. I'm about to show you 5 more teenage girl killers whose crimes were so twisted, so calculated, that they'll haunt your dreams. These aren't crimes of passion or moment of madness. These are stories of pure evil, wearing the mask of innocence. In Part 1, we explored the darkest depths of teenage violence.
Says he plans to approve Morgan Geyser's transfer to Sun Prairie.
But the cases you're about to hear make those look tame in comparison. From a horror blogger who turned fiction into deadly reality, to a foster child whose revenge knew no bounds. These 5 girls proved that evil has no age limit, and their victims paid the ultimate price. Ashley Martinsson, the Vamp chick murders. Our first case takes us to rural Wisconsin, where a teenage horror blogger's online persona would become terrifyingly real. March 7th, 2015. Ashley Martinsson was 17 years old when she killed her mother and stepfather. But this wasn't a typical family dispute. This was the culmination of years of alleged abuse that drove a teenager to the breaking point. Ashley described herself as a horror fanatic and a psychopath in the dark in a blog she labeled under the name Vamp Chick. Her online writings were filled with dark poetry and disturbing thoughts that most dismissed as teenage angst. They were wrong. On that fateful morning, Ashley witnessed her stepfather Thomas Ayers beating her mother. She ran to her room, but Thomas followed, banging on her door. That's when she grabbed a shotgun and shot her stepfather dead. But she wasn't finished. When her mother Jennifer came to investigate, Ashley stabbed her more than 30 times. The violence was so extreme that blood splattered across the walls of their rural Wisconsin home. During the investigation, it was revealed that Thomas Ayers had a history of assault, kidnapping, child enticement, and sexual assault of a child under 15. The abuse Ashley endured was documented and horrific. Ashley was sentenced to 23 years in prison for the murders. In interviews from behind bars, she said she's not a monster and is actually happier in prison than she was at home with her parents. The Vamp chick had turned her dark fantasies into deadly reality, leaving 2 people dead and a community wondering if justice was truly served. Jasmine Richardson, Canada's youngest mass murderer. Our next case crosses the border to Medicine Hat, Canada, where a 12-year-old girl would orchestrate one of the most shocking family massacres in North American history. April 23, 2006. Jasmine Richardson was just 12 years old when she convinced her 23-year-old boyfriend to help her murder her entire family because they disapproved of their relationship. This wasn't teenage rebellion. This was cold-blooded calculation. Jasmine and Jeremy Steinke broke into the Richardson family home in the early morning hours. They systematically murdered her parents, Mark and Deborah Richardson, and her 8-year-old brother Jacob. The violence was unthinkable. Her parents were stabbed multiple times, and little Jacob's throat was slashed while he slept peacefully in his bed. But here's what makes this case truly disturbing. Jasmine watched as her family was butchered. She didn't just plan it, she participated in it. During the investigation, authorities discovered Jasmine had been living a double life online, adopting a gothic persona and discussing violence in chat rooms. She had told friends she wanted her family dead. As Canada's youngest person ever convicted of multiple murder, Jasmine was sentenced to the maximum penalty for a juvenile, 10 years. She served her time and was released in 2012 at age 18. Today, Jasmine Richardson walks free with a new identity, while 3 members of her family remain buried because a 12-year-old girl couldn't accept her parents' rules. Holly Harvey and Sandy Ketchum, the Grandparent killers. Our third case takes us to Fayetteville, Georgia, where two teenage girls would commit murder simply to continue their forbidden relationship. August 2nd, 2004, Holly Harvey, 15, and her girlfriend Sandy Ketchum, 16, were living with Holly's grandparents after she'd been kicked out of multiple foster homes. But the elderly couple disapproved of the girls' romantic relationship. So they decided the grandparents had to die. The murder was planned with chilling detail. Holly even wrote a to-do list: kill, keys, money, jewelry. The casual nature of their planning showed a complete absence of conscience. On that hot August morning, the girls attacked 73-year-old Carl Collier and 74-year-old Sarah Collier with knives and a baseball bat. The elderly couple, who had opened their home to troubled teens, were beaten and stabbed to death in their own living room. Both girls were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Holly Harvey and Sandy Ketchum proved that teenage love could turn deadly when combined with absolute selfishness. Two grandparents who tried to help troubled teens paid the ultimate price for their kindness. Morgan Geyser, the Slender Man Killer. Our fourth case brings us to Waukesha, Wisconsin, where internet folklore would inspire real-world violence. May 31st, 2014. Morgan Geyser, just 12 years old, along with her best friend Anissa Wire, lured their classmate Peyton Leutner into the woods for what Peyton thought would be a fun day of hide-and-seek. Instead, it became a fight for her life. Morgan and Anissa had spent months planning this attack. They believed they had to kill someone to become proxies of Slender Man, a fictional internet character. But to them, he was real, and he was waiting. In the woods, Morgan held Peyton down while stabbing her 19 times. The attack was so brutal that the knife pierced Peyton's liver, stomach, and heart. Miraculously, she survived by crawling to a nearby road where a cyclist found her. What makes this case particularly chilling is the calculated nature of the crime. These weren't impulsive actions. This was months of planning by children who couldn't distinguish fantasy from reality. During police interviews, Morgan showed no remorse. She calmly explained their plan to walk to Slender Man's mansion in the Nicollet National Forest, as if discussing a school project. Morgan was diagnosed with early-onset schizophrenia and sentenced to 40 years in a mental health facility. The case raised disturbing questions about internet influence on developing minds. A fictional character created online had inspired real violence, proving that the line between fantasy and reality can be deadly thin for some young minds. Shelia, Eddy, the ultimate betrayal. Our final case takes us back to Star City, West Virginia, for a closer look at one of the most calculated acts of betrayal in criminal history. July 6, 2012. Shelia Eddy, 16, had been planning the perfect murder for weeks. Her target? Her best friend since elementary school, Skylar Neese. The motive was so trivial it defied belief. Shelia and her girlfriend Rachel Schoaf simply didn't want to be friends with Skylar anymore, and they feared she might expose their secret relationship. At 12:30 a.m., Shelia picked up Skylar from her bedroom window for what Skylar believed would be a fun night out. Instead, they drove to a secluded area in Pennsylvania, where Shelia and Rachel had pre-planned their attack. On the count of 3, both girls began stabbing Skylar repeatedly until she collapsed and died. Her final moments were filled with confusion and betrayal by her closest friends. But the most disturbing part wasn't the murder itself. It was what came next. For months, Shelia maintained an Academy Award-worthy performance. She helped distribute missing person flyers, organized search parties, comforted Skylar's devastated parents, and even appeared on local news making tearful pleas for her best friend's safe return. Her social media activity was particularly chilling. She tweeted messages about missing Skylar, shared memories of their friendship, and expressed hope for her safe return, all while knowing exactly where Skylar's body was buried. The case finally broke when Rachel suffered a mental breakdown and confessed in January 2013. Her guilt had consumed her, but Shelia showed no such remorse. Shelia was sentenced to life with parole eligibility in May 2028. Throughout the investigation and trial, she showed no remorse, never publicly apologized, and maintained the cold, calculating demeanor that chilled everyone who encountered her. 5 more cases. 5 more teenage girls who chose murder over reason. 5 more reminders that evil can wear the face of innocence. From Ashley Martinson's transformation of horror fiction into deadly reality, to Shelia Eddy's months-long performance of grief while hiding her friend's murder. These cases show us the terrifying capacity for violence that can lurk behind teenage facades. Each of these girls had choices. They could have walked away, sought help, or chosen a different path. Instead, they chose murder, forever destroying lives and families. Let me know in the comments which case shocked you the most. Was it the calculated nature of Jasmine Richardson's family massacre, the internet-inspired violence of the Slender Man case, or the ultimate betrayal by Shelia Eddy? These stories remind us that monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like the girl next door. Next week, we're going global. The most evil teen killers. Around the world, we'll explore cases that make these American tragedies look tame in comparison. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Don't forget to subscribe to What the Verdict and hit that notification bell. And if you missed part 1 of this series, check it out now. The link is in the description. Until next time, remember, evil has no age limit.